my beautiful survivors. How are you? This is Karina from Stroke Surviving the Odds. And the mission of the show is for you to reclaim your life, reclaim your identity, and everything that has been reshuffled since the event of the stroke. And you can like, follow, and subscribe, but I'm not going to tell you all that today. You are watching this on YouTube. So what I want from you is to ring that bell. There is a movement of stroke survivors and of survivors all around the world that is making waves right now. Why? Because it's something that is, the amount of it is unheard of. This is something that everybody at one point or another has been touched by. And today's guests, because once a week I have amazing guests that come and not only share their stories of resilience, but share how their stories can impact your life. You know how I'm always saying, take my story, flip it into yours. If you don't want to listen to it, please listen to my guests. Okay? So enjoy the ride, enjoy the show. And without further ado, I am introducing my guest today. And my guest today, point blank, I'm going to go right at it. 2013, her life got completely changed. She had a bowel cancer, bowel reconstruction, if I understand correctly, which ended up in her having an ileostomy. Fast forward, her mindset, confidence, and identity were all affected, but she turned it around and make it her purpose. So I'm going to let Ilinka, Serenity Peace, tell us a little bit of her story. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute treat.
It is a treat. I was looking forward to meet. Just by the color of your hair tells me a lot of your personality. So I was really excited to meet you.
Oh, thank you. I'm not going to go grey gracefully. Sorry. No
That
way.
is absolutely okay. You're in England, right? Where are you?
I'm in West Yorkshire, Leeds.
Okay.
Beautiful part of the world.
Wow. Okay. So, would you like to tell us who you were prior to 2013?
Before my diagnosis, I worked in a homeless shelter for single men. I was the manager of that project. So I had people at the most vulnerable for many, many different reasons. It's not just a bog standard, they're addicted to a product and that's it, their life's to shop. It's not. There's lots and lots of complex and complicated reasons why. And then I managed staff as well within that, and helped develop the company to move forward and to be more client based and client focused, to make sure they got involved in the right way and moving on, and just getting people to thrive and strive more in their lives as well. Before that, I'd worked in what we call the health and social care sector.
Yes.
I worked in that then for over 20 years before as well, helping people from getting out of abusive relationships, dealing with the mental health, and to deal with just all the practicalities of moving house and the practicalities of learning how to be on your own again and to be there with the kids. Worked in schools. I've had such a variety and vast thing.
Adjustment.
Yeah, and I've always worked with people not always at their best, with the life experiences they've gone through. So to me, I'm just carrying that on now, just specific.
Okay, wow. Well, that says a lot. That says a lot about your values and your heart. You're a very empathetic and compassionate person to begin with.
Yeah, very much so. And obviously I'm a mum of two, grandma of four, and such of it else. So
Wow.
that's all part and parcel of. No, I was grandma of three in 2013. So
Mm-hmm.
I was doing all of those kind of things as well, being involved in the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with bringing us back to in 2013?
Absolutely,
How did
absolutely.
everything come about?
Um, See, the thing was, because I wasn't of what they call the classic age, I was 46 when I was diagnosed. Over in the UK, they say it's about 65 and above that get diagnosed with bowel cancer. And I just had a couple of symptoms. I didn't have a backlog of symptoms, so I didn't think much of it. I had a bit of rectal bleeding, but it was only occasional. It wasn't a lot. And then I used to have a bit of a pain in the side of me, on the side of my tummy, and that was it. That's all I had. But my daughter kept nagging me and saying, "Can you just go get it checked out?" And just to keep the peace, I phoned the
Yes.
GP and said, "Look, I'm losing a little bit of blood. I have a bit of bellyache now and again." Did a round of blood test, pulled me in the following day and said, "Yeah, this is more serious." So they looked at my symptoms
Wow.
and not me, not my age, which I'm lucky, extremely lucky.
Wow. So it's kind of like when stroke survivors have a stroke when they're very young,
Mm,
compared to, because we used to think that a stroke would happen to people that are a bit older, right? And
yeah.
now we see that it's happening when they're 19,
Mm.
14, 20.
Oh, but yeah.
So, wow, wow.
Yeah,
Did
like you say.
your, what was your first reaction? If it's, I want to, I really,
My first reaction was family. How do I protect them? How do I make sure they've got the right support network around them? How do I make sure that I'm honest with them as much as I was more or less, I'd say 99% honest. Because
okay.
you don't tell everybody everything. It's not going to happen, is it? I just went straight into mum and wife mode and just protected them, got them the right people around them, so that whilst I was going through what I was going through, I knew they had people they could talk to, people they could who would understand, people who could just even just sit in the room with them. They didn't have to do anything else, just do that. So that was my first response to it all. It wasn't about me, it was about
Well,
them. And then my second response was, "No, you're not doing that to me." Because I refused chemotherapy. I just went, "No, you're not doing that to me."
okay. Wow. So you went more of the holistic route.
I did.
Okay. And what are the benefits? I really, I pray to God. I don't need to know, but I've known a couple of people that are going more holistic now versus
Mhm.
chemo. What's the difference, if it's okay to ask?
Right, well, I forgot to say, in 2013, I was a Reiki master and also did a lot of crystal healing and work as well. So that was just a sideline. That was just something I did for my own personal interest and
Okay.
moving forward. So once I got diagnosed, I worked out what crystals I needed and where I spent most of my time. And most of my time was spent obviously in bed because you spend 8 hours, don't you, usually in bed. So I grid the bed with the crystals and such, and then when I were asleep, it did its job. And obviously then I did the Reiki and whatever else then to shrink it all down and wake me. See, the thing that people don't quite understand is how powerful and how strong your immune system is.
Okay.
So once my immune system got woken up and I'm going, hang on a minute, we've got this thing here, it needs to go, get rid of it.
You
And
physically felt a difference.
well, I shrunk it down by 45% before the surgery.
Oh my
So
Lord.
so the surgeon was like, I don't know what the hell you've done or how you do it, just keep on doing it.
Wow. Wow,
But
wow, wow. The power of energy, yeah? The power of
absolutely.
energy and the force of the divine, maybe.
The
What?
divine and also your immune system, because unfortunately, like many people say, cancer, it's part of your body, so it doesn't recognize it as
Okay.
a foreign body until you identify it and you say, you sort of have the conversations and such with your head and your body and that and say, right, let's get rid of this.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. Wow, wow, wow. So before going to surgery, it needed to shrink.
no, I made it shrink. It didn't need to shrink. I made it
Wow.
shrink. I
45
didn't
and you
want.
didn't need to. You did your thing.
I
Wow,
did
wow,
it
wow.
because
I'm sure
once I
you
came
can,
down,
I'm sure you
sorry.
converted your doctor.
Yeah, he was
Because we know
yeah,
doctors are scientists, right? They go with
yeah,
science. They don't really believe in all this healing, holistic stuff. And when he saw what happened, he must have been like, "Wow."
yeah. He was surprised because
Um,
obviously with the MRI scans and the CAT scans, they can see roughly what's there and how's it there. He says it's not until you actually get in can you actually really see what you're dealing with. He said, but
yes.
you had shrunk that down. There was no two ways that the MRI scanner got it wrong. You had shrunk it down by 45%. So it was like, yeah, if I'd had longer, I would have got rid of it myself. But because of my family, it was like I have to have the medical treatment. I have
Yeah.
to appease them. If
Okay.
it'd just been me, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have had no surgery. I wouldn't have had nothing.
Okay. Okay. But they wanted to have that comfort, that security of knowing you were taken in charge by medical professionals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I knew you were an amazing woman. I
Oh,
told
thank
you
you.
your values right from the get-go, we can tell. So tell me, the fact that you were working in this before and you were working with underprivileged and people that were lost in a way, right? In one way,
Mhm.
shape, or form,
Yeah.
has it helped? That strength that you gave them, now you had to give it to you
And to my family, yes.
and to your
Yeah.
family, of course. So, did you see a correlation between the two? Did it help?
Um, I think when you look back, I think because you go straight into fight mode, it was a case of you don't always evaluate what's going on around you. It's afterwards. I think it was I think about week 8 of the first surgery, then it hit me what I'd actually gone through because everybody else had got on with their normal life by then because I was at home, I'd had the surgery, I could more or less get on with anything and everything because my stomach had healed up and such. And then it hit you. It hit me quite hard. Then I must admit it was a
Oh,
terrible.
did you start right off the bat saying why me, or when you fell into the rabbit hole?
I think it's more when everybody got on with their everyday things. Then I thought, what the hell's just happened? Because then it wasn't necessarily going down the rabbit hole so much. It's just the brain catching up with what the body's done or what the body's
Okay.
gone through. I think that's more it really, not the stuffing
What
out of me.
when you had the surgery, like you say, that people that have bowel cancer, do they automatically get I need to read the name, ileostomy? Do they automatically get it?
It depends on what stage of cancer you have, because sometimes you can actually have it removed and you don't need to have an ileostomy. Mine was, no, I shouldn't say that. The cancer was stage 3B, so it was the one just
Okay.
below terminal.
Okay, it was
So,
serious. It
yeah,
was
so they needed,
serious.
yeah, they
Okay.
needed to give my bowel a chance to heal again. So they said, we need to put this. I fought tooth and nail not to have this damn bag. I absolutely said, hell no. But once they talked and explained and said, it'll allow your bowel to heal the best and the quickest and the most effective, we need you to have it. So I agreed. But
So,
unfortunately, my
but you
bowel,
gotta do what you gotta do, peace.
yeah, I
Right?
do.
You gotta do what you
Sometimes,
gotta do to protect you, your family, and make yourself heal better. I have two questions in mind right now. For our listeners and our viewers that don't know what a ileostomy is, can you explain?
I can do. Ileostomy it's a surgical procedure where it brings out the small bowel or the small intestines out through your stomach wall, and then it's this like it's quite a dark pinkish colour blob. I know it's not a blob. It's actually it's called. It used to be called a
Stoma.
rosebud.
A rosebud or a stoma.
Look,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like a rosebud. Does your
Yeah.
stoma or your
Yeah.
ileostomy? And that's what they used to call it, a rosebud. Um, and that's then it just your output comes out through the surgery, and then
The
it gets
number
collected.
two, the number two. So for you guys, the number two. Yeah.
The
But
pump.
something exciting happened. But before we get into the exciting part, how was your mindset at that point? You were not in the rabbit hole, but you were after 8 weeks, you were like, okay, I'm still here. They're doing them, but I
Yeah,
still have to deal with this.
yeah. Um, I had a really, really bad day. I've only ever had one, and this was it. And it was, fortunately, my stoma bag products were being delivered, and I just felt like I'd had enough. I just wanted to walk away from it all. I just wanted to get out of it all. And the guy come and delivered, and he just said, "You're not right." And he sat with me and sorted me out, made me a drink, let me talk, let me sort of get through this black bit. It wasn't long. It was just it just caught me at the right time because I was sick of being in pain. I was frustrated by I couldn't just go back out there because with this bag, and like I say, it's the number two. And who talks about bodily fluids and bodily functions? Nobody. So you couldn't go out and if you had an accident, nobody'd understand.
No.
Nobody'd give you any empathy. So you stopped going out. You stopped doing things. But like I say, fortunately, Charles, he actually came in that day and he just said, "Something's not right with you. I need to stop with you." And he
And
stopped with
who
me.
who was Charlie? Who was he exactly?
Charles, he was the one that delivered my stoma bags because you get them.
Wow. And he saw that you needed to.
Yeah.
Wow. That is an angel right away.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And to this day, you know what I mean. I always say thanks to him when I see him on Facebook and such. And I wrote him a lovely letter afterwards. And nobody knew, by him, that's where I was at. Nobody knew for
Oh
a
my
long.
God. I got chills. Wow. Wow. I'm not kidding. Wow. I believe that we meet people when we need to meet them. Maybe it's
Yeah,
just once, forever, right? You'll never see them again. And in your
yeah,
case, you saw him again. Of course, he was your delivery person. But
yeah,
that makes it even more special because he saw the progress in you. But that day
yeah,
impacted you.
yeah. It did because I think um, the one thing out in the world is where you see this all singing and dancing, and yeah, you've got this bag stuck to your tummy, but you're able to go do X, Y, and Z. But people need to see the bad days. They need to see the flawed days. And I think I'm hoping that's what people see with me, that I will say, I've had a rubbish day today, or you've not seen me on social media as much because X, Y, and Z. And I will go out there and I will say that. And I want people to see that when you work with me, I will be honest with you.
Right.
I'll hold some punches back,
Absolutely.
but I will call you out and I will say, "Come on, who are you doing this for?"
Yep. 100%. 100%. And I mean, I've seen a few things. I think I followed you in another group as well. So I've been following you for a little bit. Before meeting in the stroke survivor group, I had seen you somewhere else. And I knew a little about you, about your hypnotherapy and whatnot. That's another question. Were you a hypnotherapist before or after 2013?
After it was because of I had radiotherapy. I agreed to have radiotherapy, but
Okay.
unfortunately that has annihilated my bowel. They've absolutely ruined my bowel. So this is my second ileostomy that I've got now.
Okay.
So in 2013 December, I had it reversed. And then I had 3 years where I had no control of my bowel at all. So then I
Okay.
said to him, "You're going to have to give me another one." I hated it, but I said, "You're going to have to give me another one because I've no quality of life. I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I'm just stuck to the loo kind of thing." Sorry, people out there, but that's what it was like. So I got the second one. And then that's when, in between that period of those 3 years, that's when I trained to be a hypnotherapist.
Okay.
Just to keep my mind going, because if you're not learning, you're not growing, you're dying. Is how I've always seen life. You've got to be moving forward in some way or fashion. So it was originally I did it just to keep my brain going, not actually to use it.
Okay.
But then I noticed a lot of the skills that I've used whilst I've supported people for over the 20 years or more were skills that now hypnotherapy have identified that I naturally used and naturally had.
Wow. When well, I'm just gonna do a quick overhaul. When you had your confidence in your mindset and it was bothering you, and you just felt like shit, for lack of a better word, you felt like shit. Okay,
Absolutely. You can say that word.
seriously. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
go for it.
But
Go for it.
seriously, what helped you morally,
Um,
emotionally?
Accepting that you can have crappy days. Accepting that not everything has to be shiny. Obviously, my husband knew when he came home that I wasn't feeling right, but I never told him to what extent I didn't feel right. I just said, I've just had a really rubbishy day. I need a hug. I need some, TLC, which you get, what I mean, I got plenty of. But I think it's once I'd been able to talk it through, then it was like, okay, then I need to move forward because I've got too much to live for.
Yeah.
I'm only 46. Well, no, I was
What is
47
that?
then. But I just said, I've got too much to live for. I've got too much to do. I was gentle with myself saying, yeah, you can have these episodes. Obviously not that proper dark day because I'm not having that again. But you can have days when it is that bit difficult, but there is always there's always something. I'm not saying be grateful for because that's overly used, I think. Be
Mm-hmm.
grateful for this, grateful for that. But look at something that's gone right that day. It could be that you smiled and somebody else smiled back at you. You've made that person's day
Yes.
because you smiled, or you've nodded your head, or
Yeah.
what.
That might be the only smile the other person got today.
Absolutely. Oh, it might be the only conversation. I mean, I'll talk to anybody. I don't give a flying fuddle. And I can say I treat everybody with respect and talk to them because, like I say, that might be the only, like I say, nice conversation or conversation they have that day. So there's always something, not necessarily nice, but something that went right that day for you, for somebody else. And I think that's so important is look at the right things. Yes, there are yucky things that go on, but the right things overrule. And that's what you've got to remember.
I love that. That's amazing. Wow. I hope that the viewers and the listeners that are stroke survivors are getting what you say. Not to go with the bling, not to go with the shiny stuff. Just you be shiny for someone else. Don't look for the shiny. You be for someone else. I think that's very powerful, Helinka. Helinka is what nationality? You said you're not from Finland.
No, my mum had a friend when she was a child called Helinka, and she just said, I love the name, and that's what my daughter was going to be called. So
Love it. I think it's great. And when did you start calling yourself Serenity Peace?
that was 2013 because I was starting up my business to be a crystal healer, a Reiki master, to teach people to do, learn to be Reiki and such. And then I got diagnosed, so that then just all got put on a back burner. And Facebook won't let me change my name. They've just said, that's the name you've put on, that's the name it's going to stop.
I think it's amazing. Serenity Peace brings peace right away. Right away. I knew we could go on and on and on. What do you think? I thank my sponsors, and we do segment 2 where we're going to talk life-changing in design. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
I want to thank my sponsors. I have my very first sponsor supports me like it would not believe, supports the cause, the mission. He knows people that had strokes themselves. They know people that know people. So the mission is close to their heart like it is to me. So I have two avenues for you guys to be either sponsors. If you think that your business is aligned with the mission of the show, you're more than welcome to become a sponsor. And if not, I also do donation based, where every penny is put back into the show, into the production, into the reach to make it better and better and better. That being said, we're going to take a moment, we're going to take a pause, and we are going to be right back.